This time we'll call to order the regular meeting of Plan Commission for June 22nd, 2026. Kelly, roll please.
Mayor Boyd.
I'm here.
Citizenmember Bush. Citizenmember Higgins.
Here.
Citizenmember Raymaker.
Here.
Alderperson Hanson.
Here.
Alderperson P-Rock.
Here.
Citizenmember Schilling.
Here.
Thank you. Brenda is excused for tonight's meeting. Item 3, public comments. Does anyone have any public comments to make on items that are not on the agenda? Now's your time to speak. So anyone in person or virtually, if during this public comment period you have something to say, now is your time for items that are not on the agenda. Everyone good here? Okay, so in virtual land, for the third and final time, any public comments on items that are not on the agenda, now is your time to speak. Just state your name. All right, let's move on. Item 4, old business. A, consideration and possible action for a zoning map amendment from PI1 Neighborhood Public and Institutional District to PI2 Campus Public and Institutional District with an institutional master plan at 1500 Fort Howard Avenue, parcels WD-57, WD-67, WD-701. Peter?
I can give you an update on that.
Thank you.
Brown County is asking to withdraw their request. Dan and I met with Brown County, and they are going to be paving the roadways that are going to be part of the new campground, and also the area around the dump station. So because of that, they're going to be withdrawing this specific request, and they will come forward later on if they feel they need a zoning map amendment later.
Thank you. Questions, comments? I'm sorry, I missed that. Do we need a motion? Do we need anything? Do we need action?
You'd want to receive it and place it on file, I would assume?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're not formally denying an action. They have withdrawn it at this point. I don't think you need to take action because it's been withdrawn. But the only reason it was on your agenda
was because you held it over to the next meeting. And so at this point, no action can be taken and no recommendation would be forwarded.
Okay, thank you. So we're all good. All right, let's move on to item 5, new business. A, approval of the minutes of the May 25th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting.
Move to approve. I'll second that.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Grant. Discussion, comments? Seems we're all good. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. New business. B, consideration, possible action on a moratorium for hyperscale data centers for a period of no longer than 12 months. Dan, I will kick this to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Peter, you got the remote or mouse? I do. Thank you. All right. All right, I'm going to touch on a couple things here, and this is going to be a rehash of the Sustainability Commission meeting a little bit with some new information and some different information. So if you may have seen some of those minutes or the video from that one, sort of same conversation. So a couple little touch points that we want to touch on today is how we got here, kind of the development climate, the zoning ordinance, the moratorium actually, and then the last one we can touch on if necessary, but the use of NDAs. Because that is all stuff that has come out from the public so far that we've heard, as well as just from the Sustainability Commission. So I want to make sure that you're receiving the same information that they did as well. So that's our path for today. So how we got here, originally was a Sustainability Commission has been discussing, I guess you'd say, the hyperscale data centers throughout the region for the past few months now. And so they ultimately had an agenda item put on their agenda earlier this month to talk about this same topic. And so we've seen that kind of roll through that committee a little bit, and we were actually working on some zoning code changes here as well as the comprehensive plan. And just where the general community discussions were going, we felt it was a good idea to come forward so that we can have meaningful discussions about this, maybe not at this meeting or immediately, but within the next 12 months so we can do a greater research. Now, what I will say is, as we get through here, we have not been approached by a hyperscale data center. Do I think we will be? Likely not. And the reason why I say that is we just don't have the land, the scale, or the space available for it. But I know the sentiment in the public is high and the emotions are high right now. And so to give some sort of benefit to the community, we also wanted to have the conversation because we are going through a comprehensive plan amendment right now, because we are looking to finish up some zoning code changes here. We didn't want to have that piece of it sort of get stuck in this whole process. And so we'd like to get through the comprehensive plan process and then kind of finish it out from there. And then again, bring it back for meaningful discussions, either in a separate comprehensive plan discussion item or as a separate zoning action item by itself. The reason for that is because it is transparent, and then it is out front and is detailed and thorough as possible, and not as part of a greater combination of efforts. And so that's the reason why. So again, if we have not been in touch with the Hyperscale data center. I want to make that clear from the start. And in fact, in my 6 years here, I've only been in touch with a data center once, and it was a small cloud-based data center who just was kicking the tires in our region and ultimately went somewhere else. So that's the only contact the Development Services Department has had with the data center developer in my 6 years here. So zoning ordinance wise, could we even have one in our current situation? Well, we take a look at our business park zoning districts, and we see that a data center could probably fall within one of three categories, and that's the traditional regional cloud-based data center, more of a large cloud or co-location facilities, and then you get to your hyperscale data centers that have become all of the kind of community bullet points. And so on the scale in front of you, or on the screen in front of you, there, on the upper image are examples of those types of data centers. And on the bottom image in front of you is actually buildings that we have in our business park that are of that scale and size. So while the use resources are vastly different from a typical business park generation, the size and scale, we actually have very similar sized buildings in our business park that fit those needs. Now, once you get past the hyperscale and you get on to like the large ones that are taking up, thousands of acres, that's a little different. We don't have that size. Our biggest building in De Pere is right around just over 1 million square feet, and we actually have 2 of them. So I just want to provide some context. So we take a look at where would those fit with inside the zoning code. And so again, we have a low, moderate, or high impact. We would probably classify them falling into the that higher impact, the hyperscale data centers. The traditional regional centers or the large co-location facilities probably would fall within a moderate impact area. Our zoning code does authorize the zoning administrator to place them in those categories because we don't have in our zoning code a specific spot for data centers of any scale or size. It's meant to be as sort of high level and categorically situated as possible. When we drafted this, it wasn't, the proliferation of the data centers weren't where it was or where we are today. So if we do come back with something, it would probably be with a more detailed and actually finite approach defined so we don't have that loose definition. If one came in today with any proposed size and scale and we placed them into a zoning district and they wanted to challenge that, it would come to you as the Plan Commission. So I just want to let you guys aware that our interpretation does exist for a reason, but there is avenues if they don't agree with the interpretation. And if they don't agree with your interpretation, then it goes to the courts. So just want to make you guys aware that there is avenues. But in this case, again, we don't have a specific line item in our zoning code for data centers, so we would likely classify them into one of these 3 categories. And again, this is just our loose discussion where likely they would fall. So kind of coming back to this one, where would that fall within the city? You take a look at these kind of darker gray areas. You can see my mouse a little bit. A co-location or a traditional facility likely would fall within this kind of medium gray. So we have a light gray, medium gray, and then the dark gray. A hyperscale data center, per our anticipated definition or anticipated classification, really only fall within that dark gray, and we just don't have a lot of it. That's the Foundry, that's Durr, that's Valley Cabinet. That's kind of the heavy sort of classification. That's just who we have. We don't have a ton of industrial zoning classification. We have more business park, and so if you look at our business park, it's more of the logistics and warehousing and light manufacturing. It's not the heavier stuff, and so we just don't have existing zoning designations where they would even fit. So could somebody rezone? Well, when you rezone, you have to follow the comprehensive plan. Well, what does our comprehensive plan say? Well, we have one area of the community that is what I would classify as our next build-out area. That's the southeast area. That area of the community in the 2010 comprehensive plan is set for business park, not industrial. We actually have industrial on the future land use map, but we have business park down here. So even if somebody came in and request a rezoning, they wouldn't fall in line with the comprehensive plan. They would have to come and request an amendment. That would obviously come before the Plan Commission, before the council, and plenty of public comment that would go along with it. So as it all lines up here now, would we see one have a means to get in here without any public communication? Absolutely not. There'd be many, 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 many hurdles for anything to even happen at this stage. So, and again, that's that red line I showed you on there matches the black one that you see here. But we are currently under a comprehensive plan amendment. So last year when we're going through this, and our next agenda item on here, we'll talk about finishing out the comprehensive plan. But looking at what would be proposed. So last year we saw the proposed future land use map, changing that area from what would be traditionally business park to more of a mixed use center. As we've seen our business parks become very larger buildings with far fewer employees, and we have a housing crisis needs. The Plan Commission, the Steering Committee, the Council has all directed sort of our future growth to be sort of in that mixed-use town center category so that we can better meet the needs moving forward. Not to say that there isn't future business park needs here, but as we've seen from an overall value standpoint, larger buildings taking up acres and acres of space is not the highest and best use of our remaining property in the city. And so transitioning to what you would typically see here. So if this were to be adopted, we would not have that avenue for somebody to rezone for a hyperscale data center, even if they attempted to pull in land from another adjacent community. So again, it would have many, many layers and hurdles in order for something to even be close to bringing something to you. So the reason why we're proposing that moratorium is to get this across the finish line, to get the comprehensive plan across the finish line without having it be bogged down in the data center discussion. Because we want to get it across the finish line, we want to have it finished out. And then if we need to have more meaningful discussions in the comprehensive plan or in the zoning code, we can do that. And so the moratorium is a very specific tool authorized by the state in the state statutes that you have to follow very specific standards. And so a moratorium must be tied to a legitimate government purpose. You can't just put a moratorium out there because you don't like a development. It has to be, it must be temporary and reasonable. You can't just go after one targeted user. It has to be for a classification. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to do something, you can't then retroactively throw a moratorium sort of in their way. It has to be thought out and planned. Cannot conflict with the state statutes, and it must be consistent and non-discretionary, non-discriminatory upon its use. And so with that, if we want to have the discussion here tonight, if you wish to move forward with it, we would come back in July with an actual proposed ordinance that you could then forward on to the Common Council. At that point, there will be a 30-day public hearing component tied to it, and then if ultimately the council wants to adopt it, it would then be adopted. We would tie it to that 12-month time frame in the opportunity then for us to evaluate and finish the comprehensive plan, but also do additional research onto the regional impact for a data center. And when I say data centers, it's probably within our best interest to investigate even the smaller scale data centers a little bit in greater detail, because they will have, and they'll start to grow as well. So these cloud-based data centers are probably going to grow over time, but maybe not to the scale of a hyperscale data center. So with that, staff is available for comments and any questions.
Thank you. Very well done, and very informative. It's something that we all need. We have to emphasize as we talk about these things that as a city, we are the word moratorium is just thrown around kind of willy-nilly, and it kind of has a connotation that we potentially could be closed for business, and that's furthest from the truth. It's targeted in a way at this. So we are not anti-technology, we are not anti-growth, but it's something that would give us a handle or guardrails we can put in place to get a better handle on what potentially could be there, which, as we are now pretty much aware, is a virtual impossibility. But it's not bad to have the discussion and dialogue as well. But I'll have some questions and comments, but I'll open up to you all if you have something first. Dan, anyone have anything?
I have one.
Mark.
Just out of curiosity, are there best practices out there for us to leverage? Just in some reading that I've done, apparently there's 50 data centers in Wisconsin, and I know Virginia is known as the data center capital of the world. Are there some models out there for us so that we're
that's part of what the moratorium would allow us to do, is to get out there and find what would work best for us if we wish to go down that path.
50 seems kind of high.
Well, keep in mind, there's
the smaller scales to the larger scales. So I guess it maybe is possible.
Probably 5 or 6 within the county right now that you're not aware of, but they're all small. They're all
Mark,
small.
good job.
Cloud-based facilities.
I should add as well, too, very good point then, Mark. I should add as well, too, that I still think this conversation should be at the state level. So I talked to a couple elected officials at the state level, and I don't have assurances, but I'm thinking they're going to take this up at the state level in the next session, which they should. None of us are ever fans of doing piecemeal legislation at municipal levels, at the town, the village, and the cities. That gets very confusing. It's redundant or sometimes doesn't satisfy what we want. I think it should be done collectively. Now, in the meantime, this is something we can do instead. So that said, I think a lot of the, and I don't want to use the word pressure, but a lot of the conversation that folks have should be directed at the state officials, and that's where the conversation should be moving forward. But it doesn't mean that we can't do something right now. The other concern we have is moratoriums have the short life, and once you do it, you can't come back and do it again. So it's something you have in your toolbox, and it goes away. I'm thinking possibly the elected officials will recognize this, and in legislation moving forward, maybe we'll get that back because it could be necessary. I'm not saying I'm advocating don't do this because we just take this out of our toolbox, because we have so many steps before you actually get to a final product that would, keep this from happening if that's the wish of the people and the wish of the Plan Commission and the wish of the Common Council. But that is a concern of mine, but not enough where, if we do it, we do it, and follow a local municipality, Ashwaubenon, for example, and use that as the most recent example.
I need help.
Other questions, comments?
I can't find my.
There's somebody online.
There's someone out there right now, so you want to mute your microphone. But what I will do is, if anyone wants to speak on this, let's just kind of give a little direction here. I would actually be for moving this forward for a draft proposal to be brought back to the July Plan Commission meeting. Is that what I'm sensing here?
Yes.
So I would, and we can have people talk then as well too. I would make a motion to have staff prepare draft proposal for a moratorium for hyperscale data centers for a period of no longer than 12 months. And that we would most likely see at the next Plan Commission meeting. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Mark. Now, there might be some folks that want to talk on this, and that's perfectly acceptable. I can open the meeting. Does anyone in person want to talk on this? I'm doing in person first. Does anyone in person want to talk on this item of the agenda? I'll go to virtual land. Does anyone want to talk on this item on the agenda? You just heard the motion, and we do have a second. But if you want to talk, we can open the meeting. Anyone virtually want to talk? If so, just state your name.
There are 4 online.
Okay, looks like there's 4 online. And if you don't want to speak, that's fine as well too. I'm just going to say for the second time, if anyone wants to speak on this item on the agenda, now's your time. Just state your name since I can't see you.
My name is Rachel Leonard, and I'd like to speak on it.
All right, Rachel, what we'll do then is I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Shane. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Rachel, you then, I need your name and your address. You have 3 minutes, and we can't talk back and forth. We will just take down the information. If there's something we can share afterwards, we will. So your 3 minutes starts right now, Rachel. Name and address, please.
Yes, it's Rachel Leonard, and it's 953 Lawton Place in De Pere.
Thank you, Rachel. Go ahead.
And I just wanted to add a couple things. I agree that the state level would be the most appropriate place to address some of these issues. And I just wanted to point out that at the state level, there are still some holes in what was proposed that maybe hasn't moved forward, such as I think it was a Democratic-led effort to tie clean energy use with these hyperscale data centers. But those options, for example, would have allowed green energy credits, and so thus the benefits at the local level wouldn't have been seen. So it's just, there's some nuances to maybe think about if a moratorium were to be in place, what a local level could do where the state level might be not encompassing enough of protections that we'd want at a local level. And then the other part that I just want to emphasize is I think that the comprehensive plan update is the most appropriate way to address some of these issues. And I understand the need to push forward the current effort, but I would just like to put it out there that I would hope that any moratorium wouldn't take that off the table just because we had a current comprehensive plan update.
Thank you, Rachel. Is that everything? Rachel?
Yeah, it is. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you, Rachel. And full disclosure, Rachel Leonard is a commission member on sustainability, which is where this all started. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. So thank you very much, Rachel. While we are open, anyone else in virtual land want to speak? All right. I'll make a motion to go back to regular session.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Mark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Dan, any comments? Well, you don't have to comment on it if you don't want to. We'll have the stuff down, but anything you want to say on that? Or
Actually, I'll be bringing it up in the next agenda item, but in short, she's exactly right. The comprehensive plan is a spot for it. We're planning to use those 12 months to, as I mentioned, to research and implement and bring back specific items to the Plan Commission for potential zoning and comprehensive plan during that time. Even if we get this comprehensive plan amendment done, we'd like to come back as a specific item. So we're being transparent enough to the public and more transparent than even just putting it inside of a 200 and some odd page document. So we want to have a specific discussions on these at a later date.
thank you. And so people are aware, the next conversation will be at Plan Commission, which meets once a month. So it's the fourth Monday of the month. We put the agenda together and it's, I think, posted on Friday prior to the Monday. So people that are aware, I just want people aware, that's how the process works. That's our advertising mechanism, is the posting of the agenda. So it's awareness that would be very important going forward. Other questions or comments? All right, looks like we're all good. That said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Dan, thank you on that. New business. Item C, consideration possible action on the contract amendment with SmithGroup regarding additional downtown master plan engagement and assistance with comprehensive plan, final public engagement, revisions, and adoption. Dan?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Moving it forward. I don't have any slides on this one. This is just going to be a discussion topic here. You've seen the item in your packet. Brief overview. We, as of last year, brought you the revised chapters to the comprehensive plan, and we went out to the public several times. But comprehensive plan, especially the implementation chapters, are not very interesting for the public to attend. So even though we posted public meetings, we held them here, we didn't have very well attendance. We had a couple feedback comments on the online, but we didn't have any attendance in person. We are underway with our downtown master plan, and we've had some good opportunities for feedback, and people have been providing feedback. So SmithGroup is doing a good job. They have extra resources and extra people to help do additional outreach and marketing and advertising component that they are doing. And so we're proposing to help bring them back into the fold to help us, one, finish up that through the implementation engagement process. The other aspect to that one is specifically to that southeast area that we've been talking about, that southeast area being the potential large future change. The majority of our current land use map or proposed changes to future land use map aren't really changing throughout the city except for that southeast area. Over the past few years, I've met with the owners, I've met with them, but every time we've kind of pushed out some information to the public, it's been sort of not well attended. Again, comprehensive plans aren't exactly the most exciting things to listen to. So we'd like to engage with SmithGroup to bring back a additional engagement effort, kind of coinciding with the same dates of the downtown master plan. We can piggyback some efforts, some stakeholders, some interviews, some stakeholder interviews, as well as a public neighborhood workshop to really kind of get into that southeast area plan and to refine and tweak those plans a little bit. In addition, when that was prepared about 2 years ago, and we've tweaked it a few times since then, the Southern Bridge corridor is becoming more and more refined, and so we can potentially make some changes as we get some more refinement on that Southern Bridge corridor. So it's a good opportunity for us to kind of re-engage and bring it back, and so that we can kind of finalize that through the adoption process. And so the contract scope that you see there is broken down into a downtown expanded engagement component to help bring more opportunities for engagement in the downtown, and then also, again, the master plan component to it. The downtown plan update component would be done with the combination of tax increment number 7, 18, and number 9. And we would use those, kind of split equally amongst those. And then the comprehensive plan update task would be split amongst the TIDs that are in my memo, as well as some from the general fund and some from the GIS budget. The reason why the GIS budget is included in this one is we are looking at updating and revamping and bringing back what's known as a hub site or a story map for this process that we want to then pass over to our GIS department and have it be a living document of the comprehensive plan versus just a static document. Now, I've asked my division, could they do that themselves? And absolutely, they could if they had about another 2 bodies to do that. Just the workload just is just too high right now for our staff to take it on. And so again, using the tax increment district funds to do that would give the public a greater tool, and we want that to be the living part of the document and the most available part of the document to the public. So,
Thank you. Questions to keep the conversation going? I'll make a motion to approve the amended agreement with SmithGroup to include the additional scope of work identified in the recommendation at a cost of $28,171.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Hanson. Questions, comments? I think this is a very good idea. The more engagement, the better. And if this fulfills that, that's great.
The drop dead date then is November 2026?
yep, that's our target.
Okay.
You're still on the little committee.
Yeah, I'm
so
still on the
Yep.
committee.
That's
so
not
I'm-
that's not going away.
That's a self-imposed.
There's no drop dead date for you. Yeah, you're a lifer. Other questions, comments? All right, that said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, new business. Item D, consideration, possible action for a 3-lot and 1-lot outlot certified survey map at 2108 Lawrence Drive and 1800 Southbridge Road, parcels WD-L281-1 and WD-D0077. Peter.
Thank you. This is a land division for an area that we will be discussing again as agenda item number 6A. In the resolutions. But this is for a certified survey map that will divide the lot into 3 lots and 1 outlot. Lot 1 on the CSM is proposed for potential future office use. Lot 2 is for multi-unit residential, and Lot 3 is a potential future commercial use. Planning staff recommends approval of this certified survey map, subject to the conditions you have in your report.
Thank you. Questions, comments, motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Pirock, seconded by Shane. Discussion, comments? That said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. New business. Item E, consideration, possible action for 3 major design exceptions from Zoning Ordinances Sections 1491-3A, maximum minor materials for surface areas, 1491 Table 9.1, allowed major facade materials, and 1491 Table 9.1, allowed minor facade materials at 2015 Venture Avenue, parcel WD-D0077. Peter?
Thank you. This is for a proposed development on Venture Avenue. There are 3 buildings on this proposed site. A formal site plan has not been submitted yet. The applicants are requesting a potential design exception so that they can proceed with designs for their buildings. This particular site has 3 buildings on it. One is an office and warehouse. The other 2 buildings are warehouses. As you can see on the map that I have in the middle of the slide, and why isn't my mouse working? Oh, that part works. I can't see my, oh, there it goes. There. You can see this blue area on the front of this office warehouse building. That is the office portion. That will be part 1 of this design exception. Part 2 will be the side of that building that you see with the red stripe. That'll be part A and part B of that number 1 item. Part 2 will be the warehouse number 1, which is the middle building, and part 3 will be the warehouse number 2, which is at the southern end. Here is a photograph or an illustration that identifies what they're hoping for their building to look like. for the office portion of the site. And you can see the side of one of the warehouses in the background. And if you are to go through the site plan, these are the 3 elevation pages that shows the elevations for each of the buildings. A little bit on the technical side and a little bit too small for us to see in the slides, so I'm just going to keep on moving. So for part 1A, this is for the 3 sides of the office. Each of those sides are considered a material that, or they're made with a material called a fiber cement board, which is not allowed in this particular zoning district. It does have a 2.5 foot high wall at the base. But the design exception for that part is asking for fiber cement board to be used in the areas that we do have outlined in red. And because this is a 3-part design exception, would we like to react to each part separately, or would you like me to go through all of them?
What do you think, folks? Go through all of them and then come back? Okay, all of them, then come back.
Thank you. This lower illustration here, you can see that there's a smaller red rectangle and then a larger black portion to that rectangle. This is all part of the same facade, but the facade material that we're talking about is just this portion of it. When we go to the part B, we will be talking about the remainder of this facade. And here's part B. In this portion, we are talking about 100% metal panel system, which on front and side facades is not an allowed material without having a masonry base. In this request, there's not a masonry base, so it doesn't fall into the category of a major or a minor facade material. When we are using 100% masonry, it's only allowed on a rear facade in this particular zoning district, or if it has a masonry base that's at least 2 feet high, it can be considered a minor facade material for up to 30% of that facade. So what they're asking for here, very much like on the front facades, is not an outright allowed material. Then going into the design exception part, or number 2, that's the middle building, which is referred to in the site plan that was called warehouse number 1. On the 2 facades, they do have on the front facade the use of masonry and then metal above it, and it does exceed the minimum requirement. So the front facade of the building is okay, and then the masonry wraps around about 30 feet on each of the 2 sides of the buildings. That's where you can see on the overhead doors, you can see there's kind of a dark area. That is actually completely allowable. And then as it continues on, the remaining area, which I have outlined in red on the 2 sides, up to 30% of that can have metal with only, say, like a 2-foot base. The rest of it needs to be in compliance as a major facade material, but 100% doesn't meet that criteria. So that is the part 2, or the number 2 design exception request. And then very much like number 2, number 3 request is for the 3rd warehouse, identified as warehouse number 2 in your site plans. The southern end building does have masonry that goes all the way across, so that's perfectly fine. What they are looking at is the space in between the 2 buildings, in the very same scenario to the other warehouse, where there's 100% masonry on that 2/3 area. I do want to bring your attention to the fact that they did use more masonry than is required on the street-facing facade. So that is part of the reason that they're asking to have the 100% masonry. Just from a zoning code standpoint, I can't approve it because they used more in one area and less in the other. Those are the 3 parts of the design exceptions that are being requested, and I think that's the end of the slides I have. Yes.
I just want to add one more thing, and Peter did a great job of describing it. Finance and Personnel Committee has seen this item as well, and one of those items that came from that meeting, actually from Development Services staff, was Peter, if you can go back to the building orientation, they originally, as they positioned this building, were having the buildings put in a different direction, more, I guess you'd say, almost turn them 90 degrees so that less of their facade would be facing the street. that would end up having their outdoor storage area be visible from the public and almost on their side yards, which wouldn't have met code requirements. So one of our code requirements, almost as a kind of trade-off, push their buildings to the street. They've added the additional facade materials brick 100% so that they could keep the outdoor storage behind their buildings and not be in violation of our outdoor storage ordinance. And so Finance and Personnel Committee has seen some of these concepts, but I want to let you know that that was a change that was requested by the economic development side staff so that it did help meet the code requirements as well. So that's the additional caveat.
Thank you. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of variances in one little area.
Design exceptions, don't use
design
them.
exceptions. Design exceptions. I'm sorry. That's a swear word for you guys. To get a ballpark idea of kind of exactly where this is in proportion to potential residential, is there some different kind of map you have that shows it?
Let
Do
me
we have anything?
Yeah, to also give you some context, for those that may have seen the ribbon cutting last year, EDL Packaging, that was in our business park that opened up last year. This is immediately to the south of it. So the west of it is the railroad, or the east of it is the railroad tracks, and so we have railroad tracks on one side, and behind that is the mobile home park that's back there.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Yep.
So Devin, is that your district? Is that your district?
No, it's a little further south.
A little further south than him, that would be the others, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, questions, comments? What do y'all have? Again, we have three of them here, well, multiple ones.
Facing the railroad.
So we're saying there were attempts made to, make it so it wasn't that obnoxious to the, on the front side that people could see. So there was an attempt there. I shouldn't use the word obnoxious, that's not fair, but to not be as in compliance.
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job of taking the front, set aside the office building, the warehouses themselves being a 100% masonry front. They didn't have to do that. They could do the minor, the minor material on the bottom and metal up top. So there is opportunities for them to do that, as some others in our business park have. They have elected to request from you guys the opportunity to put more of the materials on the front and more of the metals on the side so that it preserves the facade a little bit more. Now, the other one, as Peter mentioned, is the use of the fiber cement board. It's typically not something that we've allowed in the past, but if you saw in their packet, it's part of their brand, and they're requesting the use of the material because it is their brand. Very similar to if you drive down the highway in 41, Wisconsin Building Supply almost has the same type of fiber cement board, and so again, it's just kind of the industry standard, I guess you would say, for a supply house to be doing that. So that's their request, and that was in their information that was provided to you in their narrative format.
Is that something in the future that might be an acceptable material as we look at these things? Do you know? I mean, I don't want to paint a picture here, but
It hasn't been allowed in the past, and it's just one thing that's sort of always been that way. It's not to say that if we elect to go down that path to have it written into the code that way, but in this time, their avenue is to request a design exception from you.
thank you.
So, and the representatives are here to answer any questions.
All right, so where are the representatives out there? Do you guys have anything you want to say? You want us to keep talking here? What? All right, so we're going to have you come to the table right there. We'll need your name and address, and then you can say what you'd like to say.
Open it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Devin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. My apologies. Name and address.
Derek Foster's W2245 Schmidt Road, Freedom, representing Bayland Buildings, the general contractor for the developer.
Very good.
Basically, I guess if you could go back to that site plan, Peter.
Sure.
I guess the areas in red, more or less, are we're seeking a little bit of leeway on those due to the fact that they're kind of, in a sense, interior facades to the whole development itself. I guess theoretically, if you're looking straight on at that specific point, driving in a car, you will be able to see some of those. But due to how close the buildings are positioned adjacently, it kind of would be an excess amount of material that cost more than per se a permitted material on a rear facade that would have the same viewpoint. So I guess that's the reason why we're asking for it there. And then obviously the blue with being a little different scenario. Again, yeah, it's just more or less their branding. They're a lumber company. They supply and distribute wood products for residential businesses and such like that. So it's not going to be a siding material that's essentially represented on like a house or something like that. It is a industrial. There is a material put on larger scale buildings, I guess per se, if anybody has any questions on the fiber cement board product.
Thank you. And by the way, I'm going to open this up. You can speak back and forth. That's the petitioner. So if anyone has questions for him, that's perfectly acceptable. And if they want to jump in, they can as well too.
Is there a life expectancy on that material?
The fiber cement board?
Yeah, the fiber cement board.
It's obviously a lot more than a vinyl siding like you would see on a normal house residential district. It is actually fiber cement product, so it has cement in the material itself, and then it is painted. And unlike masonry, if you paint masonry, you're gonna have to paint over staining, stuff like that. If you repaint it, it looks exactly the same as it would the first day you install it. So the life expectancy of the material itself is similar to concrete, and then the painting is, similar to as if you were to paint something over with the same finish look, same.
Can one of you show the office again? The picture of the office?
It looks nice.
Sure can.
Right there? Okay. And that's the
So that's the material, right?
material?
Yeah, it would be like a, I don't want to say like a cedar shake type look and a siding look, but it is like a more consistently brown finish, I guess. They have multiple stores across Wisconsin, and all of them have this very similar type aesthetic look. The blue trims, the wood siding. So that's the reason why they're pushing for this design exception, is to kind of create the brand consistency. And with having the smart board or the LP Smart Side or the fiber cement board siding, they're able to achieve that. If they go with a full masonry veneer, which would be a Major Façade Material, it kind of gets away from that. And I don't know, I think this is a little more interesting as well too, in the variation of materials versus it just being 100% masonry. So I guess that was kind of our take on it, more or less.
Okay, that's cool. Of course, you guys are going to give a recommendation, so it's up to us. Other questions you have while it's open? Anything on the warehouse? Any questions there? Okay, I think we're all good. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that was it.
All right, thank you very much. If no one else wants to speak while we're here, I'll make a motion to go back to regular session.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, people. What do we wish to do? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, a question for staff. I know we've had some metal facade exception requests in the past. I'm wondering if any of them have been analogous to this type of situation that you can recall.
Our most recent metal facade request was more in the downtown,
It would have been in the mixed use.
in the mixed-use district. I don't, I'm
MX1 district.
trying to remember, the last ones that we've seen here recently have not so been for in the business parks. I'm thinking like Valley Cabinet. Valley Cabinet they didn't do a whole facade. They went, again, that sort of knee wall all the way across, down both sides of the building. That met the code requirements because they were able to do metal above that. So in this case here, but on the front of the building, they did have a metal. So again, that trade-off happens. Do you want more on the front as a more facade material, more prominent natural material, or do you want to have more on the sides with a knee wall? Likelihood in this case, if you were to deny the request, I would most likely see, at least on the two warehouse buildings, pulling that facade material down to wrap it around the side of it, because that way it's going to be I guess you would say a cost equal or less cost than some for them, and it would meet code. So they've requested to keep a higher grade facade material on the street side of it and less on the building side. I would only caution you that if you're going to do that, make sure that you probably void your condition or your approval would be voided if they came back and then modify the front facade of the building, because then they would be getting away from the trade-off, I guess you would say. So that would be our only condition if you do recommend approval tonight, is just condition it or have it be voided if they come back at a later date and change the material before construction.
Did I answer your question, Alderperson Hanson?
Somewhat, yeah.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. Anybody here? Any?
Mayor, I'm torn because when we allow exceptions, we don't want someone else to come back and say, well, you did this for them, you have to, we're looking to create, consistent design in the city.
Correct.
And I get that, so that's kind of an overriding principle. But yet at the same time, if it's a brand, if it's part of their brand look and consistency in their stores, I get that. Right? They want their stores to look the same around the state or around wherever they have them, and they've done stuff in the front, and there's, I feel like, a trade-off front for side or back. So I always worry about exceptions that it's not your case, it's the 10 people that come after you and say, well, you did this for them. And that defeats our ability to create consistent design in the city. But I get the brand thing.
You nailed it. Yeah. The uniqueness of it is what you're getting.
Yeah, it's unique, and they're doing more. As you said, they're doing more. So they've come to, if we say no, then they're going to make those changes to the front to get back into compliance. I guess I'm okay with it. I guess I'm okay with it because of what they've done in the front and the considerations for their brand. Having said that, I don't like making exceptions.
Very good.
So that's where I'm at.
Very good. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. Other questions, comments? And I can say, we have to move on sometime. I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. And the uniqueness of it makes it a little bit different than others that we've had. And they made an attempt. It is their product. So that is something I can live with. But I also agree with you. But I don't think as we move forward with these things, we're going to see people piling on and saying, we got to do this because they did that. Generally, I don't see that, at least in my experience in all these years. But it could happen. But I do like the uniqueness of it. And it is their little brand. So I'd be okay as well, too. Now, we have 3 different design exceptions here. So we'll treat them all separately, or if we make one motion, it would satisfy the whole lot. Grant?
I would make a motion to approve it as presented, including all 3 parcels.
Very good, thank you.
3 parts, right?
All 3 parts, not parcels.
All 3 parts.
And I did that added condition that I did state that if, I would add if you're going to recommend approval, I would add that condition that if they change the front facade to be less than what it is today, your approval should be voided.
And it starts over.
And it would start over because then they would be changing the parameters that you approved under. And I think that would be, I don't think the plan
Are you okay with that then?
I'm absolutely okay
Based
with
on
that.
what he had said, so.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Grant, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Additional discussion or comments?
I just think the curb appeal is very good with what they've done with the office. So I'm in favor.
Again, as we said at Finance, we're glad that you selected De Pere, and this is just how the process works, and we have to give this all due consideration, so thank you for coming in. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This goes to what happens next, because they're here? Done. You. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. New business. Where am I at now? Item F. Discussion about the use of shipping containers as structures in the city of De Pere. Dan? Peter.
Okay.
Oh, good. Tom's here. Good. I wanted to see if Tom was here.
Yeah, you too. This is a discussion that's a continuation of a design exception that we had last month that was pulled in order for us to kind of think about it for a little while and evaluate if this is a topic or a subject that should be worked into the zoning ordinance as a topic where shipping containers are allowed in certain districts or just not allowed in the city. Of course, the case that we had a month ago, the scenario was facade material. It was being proposed in an MX1 district where the facade material is not just outright allowed. So as you see in the memo that I sent you, we did do a check of several cities and communities around the state. It seemed like the regulations seem to always hit on shipping containers being used in regulations as residential units, either allowing or prohibiting residential unit shipping containers, as accessory buildings for the purpose of storage in all different kinds of zoning categories, and then also for temporary storage. That's kind of the pods and things of that nature. It seems like everything kind of fell into those three categories. There was no one unique community that said, hey, shipping containers to be used as special buildings in a downtown. I was hoping, but I didn't get that lucky. So to have this conversation tonight, I put together a couple of pictures to either excite you or scare you. I don't know what it will do, of shipping container samples in each of these 4 districts, residential, mixed-use districts, that's where it includes downtown, that from our topic of last week, commercial and employment districts, that would be offices and industrial parks, and then special districts, that tends to be your agricultural areas, churches and parks, things like that. So the thing we want to kind of talk about is what do we like or what do we don't like about shipping containers, colors, where they would be located, can they be located or should they be used? So here's some examples of residential districts, and of course the one in the upper left-hand corner I wanted to use to just say there are some people who do some wild, crazy, artsy things. Don't really change the container at all, just put a nice coat of paint on it, and off it goes. And then even the sample below it is just a house. It's a basic rectangular shape. They cut the end open and put a nice large window on the end, but it still has the kind of that clear and obvious shape of a shipping container. The middle sample is a single family house where you can see the shipping containers before they put different facades on it. So the actual container is being used, but a lot of it is being colorized or screened so you don't recognize that it's a shipping container once they were done with it. You can still kind of see on the side here, it has the facade, the in and out indentations of a shipping container. And then on the right side are 2 samples of a little bit larger houses. I liked this one because it actually shows it's in a neighborhood with a regular house sitting right next to it. You can tell the materials and the colors they used aren't screaming or outlandish. This has kind of a stone-like facade, and on this side it kind of retains that shipping container facade. And so you can tell this is probably made out of 6 shipping containers. And then here is another sample of a house where they did use some colors that are kind of muted and some colors that kind of stand out, but the context of it being a shipping container is still very much there. Then going on into mixed-use districts, and this is areas that would include the downtown. I took a look. I kind of broke that into 2 categories. One is small shipping containers may be used for an individual business that might be sharing a property, kind of like the sample that was being considered last week, showing just basic container with the holes cut in it to be used. One that is designed with seating in front of it, and then all the way to one where there's actually a patio on top, and you can see that it's utilizing a space that's around it. I then broke the mixed-use district into kind of where they're using it as a full or an entire building. Somewhere here you can tell it's until once somebody says it to you, like, hey, that's a bunch of shipping containers put together, you suddenly recognize it. Otherwise, you may just believe it's just kind of a very large building. And then there's some samples where it gets a little bit on the artistic side, and you don't even realize that they are shipping containers. This is a sample of an inside where several shipping containers are put together with a roof over the top, and you enter into the end of each container, and they're each individual retail stores. I came across samples where they're heavily painted with murals, and then there's samples where they're this is a true mixed use building where the lower levels are retail, and the upper is residential. And then here's one where it's built. They didn't really hide the fact that it's a shipping container, other than there are very large windows, and then there still are some elements shown. Then going into the more commercial and employment districts, this is the kind of the office buildings and the business park warehouses that you might see. Just wanted to show samples of where they're used, and in some ways you can tell it's a shipping container, and in some ways it doesn't necessarily look like one. Every time I put in the word warehouse, I kept getting this picture, so I felt it deserved a spot on my slide. But it's basically an arched roof with a double decker of a shipping container supporting its base on each side. For some reason, this picture just pops up every time I type in that keyword. And then going into the special districts, when I evaluate, how a church would use it versus a park, I mean, it could be in all kinds of different ways. So I just decided to show how one person did it as an agricultural use, and I'm just going to leave it with that. Because the special district's kind of left for and everything else. So I think what we could have a discussion on is, is this a direction we'd like to go? Is it something that we would like if it maybe was more oriented towards color or blended with facade materials? Do we want to say yes to specific districts or no to specific districts, and the like? So with that, I kind of throw the ball back to you.
Throw the ball back to us.
To have a conversation.
So I kind of brought this to them. Kim and I talked about this and then said, why don't we just have a discussion before we go much further, to have them dive into all kinds of work when it may not be needed, or maybe it will be needed. So basically, this is remember the last meeting? Tom is here. He brought the concept of doing a shipping container behind Pasquale's and the eventual new Nicolay Ale Works. And we thought, let's just pause on that for a second, at least have a conversation on what our feelings are about shipping containers, in these particular areas. So that's where our discussion is right now. Anyone have any comments to kick it off? I could, but I talk too much anyway. So anybody?
I don't know. How much is a shipping container? Does anybody know? Tom probably knows.
$10,000.
Are they?
I have no idea.
$4,000 for
4,000? So the benefit is you got a structure
I
for
was
$4,000? Then you got to manipulate it?
Yep. And that's one of the benefits.
Open the meeting.
Yeah, we're going to have to. I'm going to make a motion to open the meeting.
Yeah, I can answer part of that.
Second.
The benefit is you get a structurally sound rectangle. The drawback to it is the rectangle doesn't always come to you with all of the electricity and water and things that you need. That does need to be added to it. So you get a very inexpensive
We won't need a second yet.
space, but you do need to build into it.
Tom, we'll just talk first here, so we won't need a second yet. Let's just kind of hold that for a second, and then if we need Tom to come up or have some more stuff to add, we'll do that as well. Other questions, comments? So you kind of bring up the different districts. Does anyone have flavor? It's got residential, or certain areas. You want to just keep it germane to what we're talking about with the business area?
I wasn't at the last meeting, but, when I look at some of the pictures, I don't feel real comfortable with residential.
Okay.
That was my point too. I don't like
Okay,
it
that's why I'm thinking we
residential.
can take some out of it if you'd like and say we just don't feel comfortable with that and let's not even go in that direction. I am perfectly fine with that as well too. So we can limit the scope of conversation to mixed use, I think would be the,
Mixed use and commercial and employment is the other two that we were grouping around.
Okay.
The only other aspect of the residential district could have been, that's not on the slide here, but would it be an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, if we wanted to engage in that discussion at a later date? Because
Which maybe we will.
as we try to attack housing items here, maybe that's an appropriate use for an ADU, designed appropriately and built and skinned appropriately, I guess you would say, to match the existing structure. But something to think about in the future.
sure. So we'll stick to the commercial and mixed use if that's okay with everybody. Again, what was proposed, and it's just an idea that was thrown out there that Tom was considering putting a shipping container behind Pasquale's and future Nicolay Ale Works. Part of the conversation would be, are you guys okay with having a shipping container just as is and have windows gutted out? Would you want to have it modified where it's got bricks on the side or something that is more akin to the area, such as you see in the bottom left-hand corner? So thanks for putting that up there. So any direction or feelings on that?
bottom left and big right.
So you're not, generally,
those.
we're not a fan of just plopping
Just
down a
plopping
shipping
it.
container and cutting out
it.
holes.
I don't think.
No.
Is that what I'm sensing? We kind of got a little bit, maybe it was from you last week
Yeah.
or someone.
I'll be honest, I don't like shipping containers.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
he
like the look
said,
of them. I
Yeah.
think they're faddish, like the people who did their house in Southwest style 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Just don't like them or anything about them. They're great. You know what they're good for? Shipping.
duh.
Right? That's kind of how I feel about them. I don't like the look. Now, I don't dislike some of the things they've done to configure them.
Yeah.
But it's like a little pole barn that we're going to put downtown De Pere. Don't like the idea at all.
Very good, thank you.
If you have a concern about historical contact and whatever, and we're going to put where our shipping container is going to go, I just don't think it's a look for the city. Just don't.
Very good, thank you.
Someone could convince me otherwise, or the reuse, recycle thing. I get that, but I think it's a shortcut on building. Right? Any of those things you did, you could just build, and then we don't have shipping containers. But that's just my opinion. Not to say they're bad or evil. I'm just saying, don't care from an aesthetic design standpoint how they look.
Thank you, and we need opinions, so we really
Well-
appreciate that.
So if you build something, it's permanent, right? So would a shipping container be like movable, or how would it be put into the?
Most of these are, you're not going to be investing in moving it around all that much, especially when you're skinning it, because you're going to risk it. Can it be moved? Likely, yes. If you take a look at some of the ones that have been done in other communities around here, Howard, I think there's a couple in Appleton. They are technically, but it's not a easy feat to do, I guess you would say. Technically, could you? Probably, but it's going to take some effort and potential damage.
But how would it fit in permitted wise? I mean, if you to build something like that in that parking lot, like he's thinking about, could you build something there legally or?
Build something, yes. But you would, in this case, you would have to be on a solid, if it was a shipping container, it would have to be on a approved surface and dropped in, secured and appropriate that way. Our building inspector, building inspection department has fielded questions of these in the past, but again, it's one of those things that isn't quite widely utilized within this region to have a true understanding out of them, so.
And brings up another question too, so you put it down, and there's got to be some permitting issues with it. I mean, you have to stub it out for water and.
Oh yeah, that all, no matter what structure is going to be there,
all
if you're
that
going to
kind of
have
stuff.
plumbing, electrical, all that stuff will go through the standard process. Now, ICC, International Code Council, and others have rules and regulations that go towards that. So there is stuff out there that we would just have to research to make sure that it's up to meeting the standards. And we do have master electrician and master plumber who are inspectors, so they would be well abreast of the situation well in advance of approvals.
So it couldn't just be a standalone shed, is kind of what I'm saying.
Well, we've had people, not in this most recent one, but we've had people actually request shipping containers in the downtown as storage, which we've denied. In this case, it's not using a shipping container for its actual use. And so that's the reason why we're here. Is we want to, if you're going to allow it, we need additional guardrails, as you say, for its appropriate use.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? I think now maybe I'll open it up for Tom to, if he wants to talk. Tom, you want to speak? You're never that shy, so I'll make a motion to open the meeting. Motion by me, seconded by Mark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Tom, the usual name and address, and you can just go ahead and speak. And we can speak freely here, so
Yeah.
questions back and forth for us. So
Tom Gavick, 1818 Rainbow Avenue, De Pere. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything prepared, so I was going to
That's
be
all right.
more just listening to you all sort of discuss, because I was super interested to see where you take it. And Grant, super appreciate, the really clear, direct opinion. So, but that's, to me, that's the healthy part of any kind of design
absolutely.
process.
Yes.
It's like, what do we want for our downtown? And, yeah, so I've given this a lot of thought. Obviously, a shipping container isn't a deal breaker. We can actually build something that looks like a shipping container and meet everything in the code. So That is, so I mean, if we check the box and say we're not going to do a shipping container, I could actually go build something, put a skirt rail around it with some masonry and have the corrugated metal and.
Okay, we're done. That's good. So thank you for being here.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I don't think that's real creative, quite honestly. I mean, I've done enough traveling, had enough exposure to other communities, and I think one of our challenges in downtown De Pere is activating our downtown. Like, we just don't have enough action going on in downtown. And so when you start talking to Gen Z and millennials and all the way up to 70-year-olds and older, like, what is it going to take to create sort of stickiness in our downtown? And part of that's going to be developers taking some risks to go and buy buildings, renovate them, get some businesses in them. And man, you just hope that we'll continue to grow in our downtown and get more and more density downtown, living downtown. I mean, it was so encouraging last week. And if you look at the kind of turnout we had for our farmers market, it was awesome. We went right into our first alley night, Friday night, and Sherry and I got there at 6 o'clock, and there were probably 500 people behind Pages and Port in the 400 block of our very first alley event. And then the rain came. I asked Ollie, I said, how many pizzas did we make? And he said, we made 62, and we probably would have done 150 if the rain didn't come. And when he goes down to the winery on the bike path, he, on Thursday nights for music, he does about 100 pizzas a night, and there's about 500 people. So we had that kind of event behind Pages and Pours Friday night. And July 17th, we're going to do it in the 300 block behind our buildings and behind Nikki's. I'm expecting that one to be even a bigger turnout because of what happened on Friday night, and then the anticipation of what's going to happen next Friday night. So we're starting to get some momentum in our downtown, and quite honestly, it's there's just not a lot of good hangout spots to go sit and hang out at night. Our kids come back and they visit for 4 or 5 days, and you go, where'd you go? And during the summer, they come back and say, well, we went out to Cocoon. And it's like one of the very few places to be able to go and just hang out. So we're trying to create this quirky historical architecture colliding with our roots of urban, industrial kind of feel. So yeah, I could go and build something and it would look brand new and it would meet all the codes and it would look like a shipping container. And you just go like, that's super uncreative. Or we could do something super interesting and take a risk. And if you're going to take a risk with somebody downtown De Pere, I think I'm a pretty good bet to work with the city to figure out, hey, if we were going to do this, like, let's do it super well. Let's get a really clear guideline on how we would do it and how we would allow it in our downtown. Because the last thing I want, lived here for 35 plus years, I don't want shipping containers all over our downtown. That's not the intent of trying to get this going. I think this site is uniquely positioned for something unique.
But you realize, though, once it's there.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then what you do is you put really clear design guidelines in place of what you're going to allow or not allow. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. I really appreciate that. Again, I love your passion and vision. I just do love it. And to have something there in that corner would be a game changer. There's no doubt about it.
What we can't anticipate yet is like what this is going to feel like. Like, we're going to have a 12 by 16 stage. We're going to have music just about every night. So this is going to be this isn't like go to Pasquale's night like that. Yeah, that's going to be a part of the experience. And already, I mean, it's like, holy cow, just doing the demo we're doing right now and cordoning off some of it, like 99.9% of the people go through that back door into Pasquale's. It's like, seriously, guys, just like follow the go in the alley and go in the side door. So making change in our downtown is super hard. And so I think this is an opportunity to just make some really cool, radical change that is going to create some stickiness. The other thing we can't tell yet is what is it once we have our first downtown, De Pere's first brewery. These guys don't want to be shipping beer all over the United States. They want to create a neighborhood brewery, Nicola Ale Works. And so we're trying to create a cool spot for people to hang out all summer long. And I think we could do this really well. Out of any of those examples, you know, it's more like, although I'd hate to even say the one on the right, this would be a combination of food service, beer service, indoor, outdoor seating, potentially seating on top, so we get some scale in the alley. So this is one way for us to do it. And I love it when De Pere is out in front. I hate following. And we're going to be, eventually this could happen. So I'm talking to a community right now and I'm not even going to share the name because I want to hold them in confidence, even though it's somewhat public. He actually sent me a picture of it tonight. And I said, I'm not going to share it because I want you to have your own PR event. And he said, Tom, it's already sort of public. And I said, I know, but I'm going to this meeting tonight and I'm not going to share it. But it's a community that I really respect, and they're doing some really cool things. They're a college town, and they're doing some cool things downtown, and they're going to do their very first shipping container. And I'm also learning to call them venue containers, not shipping containers, because this is not going to be a shipping container, or wouldn't be a shipping container.
I'm sorry, what'd you just say?
It's just, I think, changing the language.
Venue container, okay.
You know, because back to Grant's point, I mean, shipping containers are supposed to be used for shipping. That's what they're designed for and built for. But they could be really cool design elements in a space. And I think it just potentially gets super boring just building new stuff. And but we could do that and make it look like.
And I appreciate your point too. You could go and build a building, have it meet all the codes, and have it look like a shipping container.
Yeah,
I mean, and not that you're going to do that,
I don't
but
want to do that. Yeah,
but I
could do
understand
that,
the
Shane,
point.
and
Yeah,
I just that's super boring. Like that to me, that would be the ultimate. Like seriously, you're trying to copy a shipping container.
right.
So if we're not going to do a shipping container, I'd rather do a shipping container or a venue container and make it super unique, where it becomes something that people take. Literally, they come to De Pere and they take a picture by it, and they go, "Hey, I hung out in the alley district." The people that are staying up above Pasquale's right now, I wish I should send you the list of the last 20 feedback that we got. We just had people from Miami here a couple nights ago visiting their mom. And we were out ripping apart the back, and the guy came out and said, man, this is super cool. I took him inside, showed him the drawings of what we're planning to do with the brewery and potential container idea. And he said, wow. He said, I'm doing some similar kind of projects in Miami. This is super cool. There's an opportunity here to do something super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to add, Tom, or is that?
No.
No. For not being prepared. Pretty impressive. I'll make a motion to go back to regular session.
Second.
Motion by me, seconded by Shane. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I've got a little thought here because I don't think this is time sensitive, Tom, is it? Oh, shoot, I just closed it, and I just asked him a question. My thought is this, because it is a kind of a dramatic, we haven't narrowed down to the mixed use and commercial areas. It's kind of a dramatic kind of thing. It's different, you know? I shouldn't say dramatic. That's probably too dramatic. But to get feedback or, you know, we've just talked about it right now. But for us to be the final say on this, maybe to hear from people, because we have the meeting going on right now, and we bring this back, say, another meeting. I'm just saying this just to gather more information. For anyone to make a knee-jerk reaction and say, no, this is horrible, I don't want to do this, or hey, I think this has got something, we're still not in a place where we feel maybe comfortable. But maybe we digest it more. Dan, what do you think of my idea? And if you think it's a horrible idea, just go ahead and say it. But understand, of course, that you're working for the City of De Pere.
May I say something before you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm not ready to have a future zoning ordinance revision, I guess, right now. But does our zoning ordinance and code allow for doing an experiment?
Well, I think that's what the design exception process would allow you to do. If you would have went down that path, could have almost created that experiment for you, I guess you would say. That's sort of the one-offs. That's what the design exceptions are for. So you could technically go down that path. If you didn't want to go down a complete full path right now, you could go back to that design exception process. I know it's just sitting here, and over the past couple of weeks, staff's been, bullet pointing what we think some design regulations could be, researching model ordinances around the country. Do I think we can probably find protections and middle ground across the board? I probably think we probably can. It's just a matter of what direction do you want us to go down that path. If you do, we will absolutely go down that path, draft a model ordinance for the public to comment. The part that I'm seeing, Mayor, with your question, is if we ask for public comment, and this is the planner world in general, if you don't give somebody something to respond to, you're not going to get feedback. And I think that you're seeing that right here tonight. You've got something to respond to. Had we not thrown any pictures on the screen and just talked about it, our discussion would be vastly different. And so I think if we're going to have a community if you want community engagement or community feedback into it, there's going to have to be something that they can respond to. And that could be soup to nuts. And I'm afraid to do that, because if we put something out there that, one, you're not supportive of, and then we ask them for feedback on it, we're down a completely different, parallel path. That's not where we want to be. So
And I was just looking at just general conversation, not public comment. Two different things, but I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because either way, it's not going to work the way you want it to work. So
Yeah.
I understand. I appreciate that.
I mean, I'm taking notes here, and I'm hearing the comments that we want to find something. If you wanted to go down this path, it's to blend some of the historic elements. Alderperson Hanson, I know that's something that you're going to request. There's going to be architectural elements, how to integrate it into the downtown. And then there's certain things that are the planner speaks on us, which is, okay, someone's going to try to come in at some point and double stack these, and do we want to do, you know what I mean? So as planners, we're thinking about the worst case scenario, where the pictures give us the best case scenario, but we have to go down that other path. So I'm not opposed to having our staff draft loose thoughts and principles and bring them back to you. I'm not opposed to that at all, if that's where you want us to go. I think there's enough model ordinances out there where we can say, does this fall within your parameters? Does this not? If you're not down that path at all, and you say this is not for us, that's okay too. So
That's not a bad path either.
Just out of curiosity, if you did create something with flexibility, or whatever you want to call it, could you put a limit on how many?
in the downtown?
Or stacking them is what you're saying? Or
Well, or just limit the number, period.
That's something we would have to dive into, because you'd be setting, once the conditional use permit law came in place, it really put a lot of strings on us, as we talked about with the gunsmithing a couple
Right.
last year. Previously, probably could have put these as conditional uses with a separation distance requirement into them, or something that you didn't have an entire block in there. I'd have to do a little bit of research to figure out if you could do something of that nature. That's because all of a sudden now you're setting yourself up for preferential treatment because you came in first.
Yeah, you're picking winners.
So that's a bit of a challenge. So I'd have to do a little bit more digging into that one.
What do y'all think?
Go slow.
So again, you're saying bring something back for us to look at.
I think you guys
Based on
respond
your
most to have
research.
something to review. Trying to design by committee level is a bit of a challenge sometimes, I guess you would say, because we're all just throwing ideas out. I think we have enough feedback here that we can start to throw something together and have a general discussion at the next meeting, if that's something that you wish us to do.
I'm open to that.
I mean, I'd actually be okay with it. It doesn't mean we are all for
Yeah,
it. We're
it's-
just bringing something back. Grant, this goes back to you as well. I'm sorry, Dan, go ahead.
I would rather have that discussion because this is not going to be the only time this conversation happens.
All right,
Over the
fair
next
enough.
few years, as our downtown continues to evolve and adapt, you're going to see more of this because it is somewhat trendy, but at the same time, it's happening in the areas that are happening, I guess you would say. So I want to make sure that if we want to have the discussion, let's have it because it's going to it's going to come back again, and let's either be ready for it
Fair enough.
or not.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
And we can model that. So I'd make a motion,
Staff draft an ordinance.
staff draft an ordinance or something we can look at and
Yep.
really dive into.
Yeah, technically, there's just discussion item only, so staff will take our feedback that we've heard here today, so no action.
So no action. All right, so you have our direction.
Right,
Rescind that. That was
Okay.
Devin's
Rescind.
fault. Yeah.
okay,
Rescind.
next item.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in, Tom. Unless you're here for other things too. Where are we?
G.
We just got to G. New business G, consideration possible action for an area development plan to add future streets at 2100 Lost Dauphin Road, parcels WD-D0075-2. Peter.
Okay. Hold on.
I'm going to have Peter pull up the actual staff report because this exhibit here is a different one, but I'll address this one here. This is strictly related to the Southern Bridge. So as we're looking through the Southern Bridge corridor and the design is going on and the county and working with the states or with the state of Wisconsin, there's certain stipulations that have to happen when you are trying to provide access points to properties. One of the tools that a community has is actually one of the greater tools that a community has is the official map. And our official map does not contain future road designations. That will change at some point in the future because we are bringing future road designations onto the official map. It was a past practice by the city not to do that. Well, as a result, the DOT and the county are asking us, well, what does the official map say for this Gilson property that's in your packet? Peter's going to pull up the actual staff report with that first exhibit. It probably most closely represents a potential future road layout. Now, the Southern Bridge corridor is under design right now, and we're trying to get access points to this property. So to do so, we have to place it on our official map, and so this will just be a small addition to our official map, which would be a standalone exhibit document that if the council approves, we can then bring to the county and say, this is our official area development plan for this Gilson property. Future road, potentially looking somewhat like this. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. It's just identifying that this needs to be a future road. Reason for that, they can then go check off their box and say, yes, this has been planned for a future road for this to service this parcel. So this is just north of Red Maple, and east of the railroad. So this is the property owned by the Gilson family. One of our only multifamily zoned available properties in the city of De Pere. So staff's recommending approval of a map of this nature. And if recommended for approval tonight, staff will finalize a map of more clear nature, but we wanted to have the discussion here because it was a request that came from the county and a very short turn and turnaround for it, so.
Very good, thank you. I'd make a motion to approve the area development plan.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Shane. Additional discussion, comments? Alderperson Hanson.
Yeah, Dan, would the property owner take the lead on naming the street?
The developer would at the time.
Yeah, the developer.
Yeah, there's no name on the street, it's just future street until such time as a plat happens. So there's no names or anything on streets. Just says future street.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. Any other additional questions, comments? That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Item H, consideration possible action for June 2026 amendments to Municipal Code Chapter 14 Zoning Ordinance.
Thank
Peter.
you. In your memo, I summarized on the last page kind of an A through K area of what the 7-page packet of proposed changes are for your zoning ordinance. And I'll just quickly go through them. There's some lot width and setbacks that were appeared to be incorrect in some of the tables, so we did make corrections to those, and they're redlined in the tables in your document. We did add payday loan businesses and commercial car wash uses to our use tables with descriptions and definitions. We clarified that egress windows are a part of the building and a building and can be allowed only on rear and interior side yards. For safety reasons, we've added location requirements for parking ramp electric vehicle charging stations. A simple clarification for type B home occupations for the number of employees or customers that can be in the business at one time. It really didn't change the rule, just clarified the wording because there was some confusion over that. Then the allowance for balcony support columns to come to the ground in multi-unit residential districts. Then the setback for HVAC systems and things of that nature that are placed on the rooftop of a building. It originally incorrectly said that it needs to be set back 20 feet from the building, which oftentimes with the setback of the property, that 20-foot threshold has already been met. So we realized it should have been the front of the actual building, not the street setback. We have revised the street right-of-way street spacing to be 50 feet instead of 35. This is for the health and the growth of the trees. The spacing of 35 feet for a street tree just wasn't quite wide enough, and we found ourselves constantly having to change that measurement. Then the fences were listed as a transitional yard in a way that it appeared to be an option to doing green space of trees and hedges and things and berms and things of that nature. So we clarified by pulling that element out. Clarified the sign section of the code to identify that vinyl signs cannot be used as a permanent wall sign or permanent sign of any kind. That does not include a vinyl sign being used as a temporary sign. And then we added inspection service fees, primarily for repeat site visits that happen with our inspection division, and then not being able to collect fees for their multiple visits to a site. So that's kind of the executive summary of what the 7 pages identify with red lines for you. And we recommend approval of these changes.
Thank you. Any questions on the changes? Is everyone okay with the amendments? Alderperson Hanson?
Yeah, Peter, for the trees, can you just clarify if that's for commercial developments only?
This is for street right-of-way trees that are required in a site plan.
Yeah.
So that would be everything from multifamily up to our industrial districts.
Alderperson Hanson, I think I know where you're going with the residential side of things as well. That's separate.
I was wondering how it compares to like the residential spacing.
Yep, the residential, we don't have it in our current code right now for residential spacing. That was one of the items that came out of your council kind of directive, which is to start drafting the street tree subdivision components. So that's a whole separate matter, but that would be under the land division ordinance. But overall wise, street trees in subdivisions are a little bit more of a sticky one because there's more driveways all over the place. Mm-hmm. So we try to hit that same 35 to 50 kind of threshold, depending on, again, its placement of the actual lot density and subdivision driveway widths.
And my concern with going to 50 feet is I'm sure it's going to be less trees then.
Yes, but as we said, it's healthier for the trees that are there.
Yeah. All right.
Trade-offs.
Yep.
Other questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 amendments to the Municipal Code Chapter 14.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Grant. Additional discussion, comments? Mark made that.
Grant's better looking between.
It's been a long day. That said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. You guys sound so much alike. Item I, discussion about site plans received since the May 2026 Plan Commission meeting and review the status of recently approved development projects. Anybody have anything for Peter? Alderperson Hanson.
So I know we got an update earlier tonight about the fairgrounds and paving the roads. So it sounds like there was some confusion at the last meeting. The existing roads are not affected. Did the county come up with a cost estimate for what their share of the paving is going to be for the new roads?
They did not share with us what their expenses were or how they figured out how to be able to afford it with their budget. They did identify that I believe that they weren't fully aware of what we were asking for in terms of paving, what roads needed to be paved and what didn't. And I think they were just able to figure out how their budget actually could afford what we were asking for initially.
Yeah, so as Peter mentioned, they will be paving the dump station as well as the new road that they're adding, which would comply with the site plan or the typical site plan requirements, which is as you build, you meet to current standards. So they will be adding that. In the future, if they make any improvements to those areas, that would be a separate discussion, and or they would come back with a future kind of master plan for it, which they're currently evaluating at this time. So
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All right, let's go to item 6, resolutions. Consideration possible action on a proposed amendment to the 2010 City of De Pere Comprehensive Plan update to change the future land uses map, figure 2.6, from industrial park to multifamily residential at 2108 Lawrence Drive and 1800 Southbridge Road, part of parcels WD-L281-1, WD-D0077. Peter.
Okay, this is the site that when we were reviewing the certified survey map, I identified it would come up later in the meeting. This is that site. The proposed lot 2 that you reviewed in that certified survey map is the area you see outlined in black on the site map on the left side. It is currently zoned, that area has 2 zonings to it. It's a commercial and an office zoning category. On the future land use map, it is identified as part of the business park. That lot has a proposed future use of multi-unit residential. So the comprehensive plan is proposing to bring it to its multi-unit residential zoning category. That's why in the map on the right, you see the area with the red and gray stripes being changed to kind of that orange type color, which is our representative future land use map for that multi-unit category. So staff recommends approval of this request.
Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by me, seconded by,
And this has to be done by resolution.
yeah,
I'm sorry, what?
This approval does need to be done by a plan commission resolution,
Yep, the resolution you have to sign.
approval of the resolution.
Oh, that's good. Okay,
not just a straightforward approval.
thank you.
Yep.
All right, questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Oh,
I had one, Mayor. I just want to let you know the finance personnel has also reviewed this one, and so I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that the plan commission is aware that finance personnel has approved a proposed term sheet for this project and a draft developers agreement, and they are working through that one. But they are doing this due diligence as well, because if either one of the developers agreement or this fails, the project does not move forward. So they are kind of going down a parallel path at this point. So there were two individuals in the room here tonight who were neighboring property owners who did ask some questions to staff. So I just want to make you guys aware that there were other people in the room here tonight who were here for this item.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Other questions, comments?
Well, there were no
Mark?
inquiries though, right?
They asked some questions, and I think we answered some of them for them. So
Okay.
the questions were around types of multifamily. Is it market rate? Is it affordable? Types of those components. At this time, it's proposed to be market rate multifamily, and that's what was approved in the term sheet. And then also the potential driveway location, private drive between the space. If you go back to the CSM, you'll notice that there's an large outlot there that's proposed to be retained by the church and attached to the church. Churches are under a whole separate different set of standards protected by the federal government, and so as a result, there's no need to kind of change that designation, because they can pretty much be in any zoning district because of religious protections. So at this time, the proposal is for this single multifamily change of designation.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All good, Mark?
Yep.
All right, that said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Officially adjourned. Long meeting, people.